2v2 in the end. We jump into King of the Hill here. Down south, it is GiveUAnxiety as blue. And to the north, it is Donarty as red. Both playing as the French. Opening immediately with the mill is Donarty. That's already a signal that he's going for professional scouts once he gets there.
Yep, and just by looking at the map, I can already see how hard it's going to be for Donarty to raid GiveUAnxiety. There's 3 small choke points. Do you see them?
Absolutely. This is just a perfectly defendable base here for GiveUAnxiety. On the other hand, there's a serious problem for GUA. As well defendable as his base is, it's very difficult for him to get to the top of the hill because he could easily be cut off from that position. And if you look at the location of the sacred site, that could be captured so easily. Remember, Donarty went for a very aggressive sacred site focused gameplay in his game, and he narrowly lost that game. So there's a chance that he's going to try to play something very similar and just try to secure that sacred site with keeps. And it's a very, very narrow choke point that he really needs to hold to secure that sacred site.
Exactly, and if Donarty decides to go for that sacred site once again, those 3 choke points that GiveUAnxiety have might actually be his downfall. Because if Donarty decides to stonewall them and lock GiveUAnxiety inside his own base, then the defensive base will actually be his graveyard.
Indeed. Looking at Donarty, he's opening with wheelbarrow, something that he has done in the previous set that he has played as well. No mill just yet for GUA, so he's just playing full sheep. Dropping that house right next to the town center means that that's going to block a farming space in the future. Looks like we have a decent amount of sheep following Donarty's scout here, whereas on the other side, where's the scout at for our blue player? It's right here, only 1 sheep following it, so looks like the sheep gathering operation was slightly better for Donarty here at the start.
Yeah, a lot better, but let's not forget that GiveUAnxiety already left his sheep in his base. If you check his base, he has so many dead sheep bodies, plus 2 alive sheeps.
Yeah, it seems like it's like 4 dead bodies plus 2 sheep, whereas on the other side we have 2 dead bodies versus 4 sheep following, so seems relatively even here in the end. Feudal Age on the way for GiveUAnxiety, building the School of Cavalry with 4 villagers. No Feudal Age yet for Donarty, of course. He's delaying it a tiny bit because he has to invest into the wheelbarrow, but he's also going with the School of Cavalry, as you would expect.
Yep, and he's using 4 villagers, and I think he's using 4 villagers in order to compensate on the wheelbarrow upgrade, because usually you want to age up faster, but if you go for the wheelbarrow, you're forced to age up slower because you don't have the resources. But by adding 1 extra villager on the School of Cavalry, you're making up for that difference. Actually, yeah.
So with that being said, the 2 players should age up to Feudal Age approximately at the same time. GiveUAnxiety will be slightly faster since he pulled a 5th villager on that School of Cavalry as well. He does have the mill up, so Professional Scouts is likely coming in for him. Since he's the faster player up to Feudal Age, do you open with a Knight or do you open with a Scout here?
He cannot afford Professional Scouts. Actually, he can. Yes, they're cheaper. I would go for Scouts. As we said earlier, if you click to make a Knight, it needs 30 seconds to be produced. And another minute, like 45 seconds to reach your opponent's base. So your opponent will have a Knight. So it's better to make, let's say, 1 or 2 extra scouts and then make a Knight. If you're going for professional scouts, it is.
He is indeed going for the scouts over here. And since he's the one faster at Feudal Age, he could actually get a couple of tier away from the side of Donarty. Donarty just now reaching Feudal Age, and he is popping out. Absolutely nothing out of that stable right now. Okay, here comes the first Knight for him. Professional Scouts being delayed a tiny bit because he doesn't have the wood to get that upgrade in. But he's going to open with a Knight. Whereas GUA actually adds an early barracks over here, so he will probably just go Spearman defense into Professional Scouts and maybe a semi-fast castle strategy.
Artie decided to make an outpost, and that's a reaction caused by the fact that GiveUAnxiety aged up at 4 minutes. So Artie was actually expecting a knight, and that's why he delayed his professional scouts, which he's now getting at.
But that also means that he's going to be slower faring in the deer, so there is gonna be a big window for GiveUAnxiety to swoop up all the hunt. He's already working on that. Started out with his own patch of huntables though, so Artie will have his own shot at picking up the ones on his side of the map. So far, not a single wall for GiveUAnxiety, but he should know how good his map is when it comes to defendability. So he knows exactly that it's vulnerable all around here.
Alright, the second barrack is being made by Anxiety. I'm expecting a timing push once again. I'm pretty sure GiveUAnxiety watched the early game of Artie, and he might be expecting Artie going for a semi-fast castle, and he wants to hit that timing window with lots of spears and maybe a couple of rams, and punish it.
First knight coming in here might actually get a villager kill on GiveUAnxiety's gold miners. Looks like the knight will be scared away by the spearman. Nice move from GiveUAnxiety to pull the villager back from the gold that's damaged. You don't want to leave that lady exposed out there. Just want to send a new villager instead. As GiveUA keeps swooping up the hunt. Knight still looking to do some damage, being pursued by two spearmen, but he could get a nice charge in on this gold mine. And there's another knight coming in.
Will he block the charge? No, he didn't. Will he block it?
No. But the second knight wasn't able to charge in, so the villager does survive. And it very much seems like Artie will be able to save his knights over here. Now, one thing that Artie now knows about is the two barracks. So he knows exactly that his opponent is probably preparing a timing push. And he might be thinking about the semi-fast castle into men-at-arms in that case.
Yes, and how did Artie react? He has a second stable. I don't know, maybe he's actually making scouts now to get the hunts.
Yep.
I'm curious to see, is he going to get into castle aids and make men-at-arms, or is he going to stay in feudal aids and play archers?
I feel like for the start he had, I would have thought that men-at-arms is gonna be the play, but that's probably the riskier approach. The problem that he's facing, I believe, is that it's not like GiveUAnxiety is guaranteed to do a feudal age timing push, right? So if you invest a lot into archers, given how well defendable GiveUAnxiety's base is, what if GiveUAnxiety goes for the semi-fast castle, and then you suddenly face men-at-arms yourself and you're stuck with archers?
Exactly. That's why Artie, what he should do is just keep the presence alive inside GiveUAnxiety's base. Just continuously tell him, I am here and I'm watching you. And go for a semi-fast castle aids and create men-at-arms. I think Artie should play like this.
Quite a lot of spearmen out here for GiveUAnxiety. Artie should know that he will need something against that. He's still popping out knights, has some scouts to swoop up the hunt here, but he can't just play full knights against that many spearmen because I feel like those spearmen are reaching a critical mass, and when you're using spearmen against knights, you don't have a lot of mobility. But when your base is so well defendable, you can just wall it off and there is no way your opponent can get you with a counterattack. So normally, if you were pushed by spears and you have knights, oftentimes just go and raid. But that's not really an option if GiveUAnxiety just walls himself up.
Exactly, and GiveUAnxiety, actually what he's doing is he stopped making spearmen and he transitioned into full knights. He made a second stable and he started making knights.
Looks like we pretty much have all hunt taken in. So now it's a race towards Castle Age. Artie might have a small edge in that department. Although GiveUAnxiety is not far away from Castle Age either. GiveUA already with 8 on gold, Artie with 10. So Artie probably can nail a slightly better Castle Age timing as he's starting to add archers now.
Another stable from GiveUAnxiety. 3 stables. 2 stables plus the School of Cavalry.
Ooh. That is...
a transitional in. I think he's baiting. I think right now, GiveUAnxiety is baiting Don Artie into thinking that mass spear is coming, and he's gonna transition into only knights in order to counter both archers and men at arms, which is actually pretty smart.
Now, GiveUAnxiety has spent quite a lot of his resources on that transition, so there's a chance that Don Artie beats him to Castle Age, although Don Artie himself is investing heavily into the archer department, so looks like everyone is staying Feudal Age for the time being. But in that case, I like GiveUAnxiety's position here a tiny bit better.
If I were GiveUAnxiety, I would most likely have walled all the choke points. I mean, Don Artie cannot really wall. His base is so open, but GiveUAnxiety can do that. And if he doesn't want to do that, what I would do, I would take spears, groups of 5, and I would put them into a line formation and place them in the chokes with stand ground. So every cavalry that would come, I would get some free hits on it.
Quite a lot of spearmen on the battlefield for GiveUAnxiety, only a handful of knights, but as you said, he's investing a lot into knights, so he's pretty much giving up on his plans with Castle Age, just going full knights here. As you said, it could still be a timing push. A lot of knights, a lot of spearmen, and the spearmen will allow you to make the rams on the battlefield, so if Don Artie just says, okay, I'm going into Castle Age, that could be very risky for him, because GiveUAnxiety could punish that any moment.
And Don Artie is going into the aggressive. The archers are coming in the front, and most of the times when you're pushing with archers, most of the times they won't be going back home because they're slow and vulnerable. But Don Artie is going in the aggressive right now, and you can see it from his resources. He's not saving up for Castle Age anymore. He's just making units.
Neither player is really saving up for Castle Age. GiveUAnxiety is floating a lot of food but barely any gold, so I wouldn't really call that saving up either. Don Artie, now with a decent amount of knights on the battlefield, but he's starting to realize that he's up against a huge amount of knights and spearmen. And I feel like at this point it's going to come down to whoever is willing to take a decisive fight at some point in the game.
Yep, and I'm going for GiveUAnxiety. I like his composition way more, way more.
Nice hill control over here for Don Artie. GiveUAnxiety is not far from Castle Age, by the way. If he plays defensive, he could get to Castle, and that would be a massive power spike. He would get the extra attack upgrade immediately upon hitting Castle Age. And he would also get the chance to upgrade to Veteran Royal Knights. So there could be a nice power spike here, but it looks like we're not waiting for that. Miss micro by Don Artie. He allows those archers to be taken down by the knights, and if the archers are gone, the spearmen will join the battle. Spearmen bracing as well against the knights of Don Artie out there. Don Artie has to be very careful, because if those spearmen brace all that cavalry charge, his knights will get slaughtered. Looks like GiveUAnxiety is retreating, waiting for a couple more reinforcements to pile in. Don Artie waiting for the opportunity to strike. 17 knights versus 13, but that 19 hardened spearmen is what could swing the battle in the favor of GiveUAnxiety.
It's the upgrades as well. Don Artie is getting an upgrade right now, and he will take a fight from the looks of it without that upgrade being finished. While GiveUAnxiety has the upgrade for spearmen, and that means that spearmen take one less hit to die from knights, which is really important.
GiveUAnxiety pursuing now as the spearmen are getting close. Don Artie is waiting for that upgrade to come in on the archers, but he might not have the chance to wait out until this one. Here comes the battle for the game, potentially. Archer is trying to focus down the spearmen, but it's very difficult to manually focus them down when there is so much chaos going on. And I feel like this is a great fight for GiveUAnxiety, simply because the archers can't focus the spearmen because of all those units on the field.
Yeah, and so many knights died. And yeah, what I told you earlier, when you push with archers, your archers will not go home. They will most likely die on the road.
Oh boy, and that would be a win to Americas. GiveUAnxiety could 2-0 Don Artie over here, because all that army for Don Artie is disappearing. 24 army remaining, GiveUAnxiety at 20 only, but he's pursuing those defenseless archers right now. Some raids coming in here by Don Artie, but I feel like at this point he's the one on the back foot. And if you look at GiveUAnxiety's resources, now would be a great time to think about Castle Age, you can even
Exactly.
retreat with your forces and just get the upgrades in Castle, Guildhall on the way.
And you shouldn't go for a guild hall in a game like this. You know that your opponent has invested into archeries and stables. So you have your knights alive. What do is you obviously go back. You don't want to lose your knights for no reason. Or you can raid. There's so many places to raid. But since you have the knights number and you have an untouched eco, you should go for the Royal Institute. Because if you invest into that extra ace for your knights, they will become killing machines. And it's one of those times where people in one of those times that you can actually use that building. Like right now, Guildhall, obviously Guildhall is like a good choice, no matter what. But in this certain game, I think Royal Institute would have given way more than the Guildhall because that upgrade is insane.
Indeed. Like, if you want to push at the beginning of Castle Age immediately, the Royal Institute can be very powerful. I feel like GiveUAnxiety is just playing this one safe. He says, okay, I'm ahead, so I'm just going to get more ahead, build a guild hall, and slowly start piling up that bank of resources inside there, although he's got a lot of idols right now. So now it's Donardi's problems piling up here because he's very far from Castle Age, and you see that he's running out of berries here as well. So he will have to transition to food eco on farms. He's got a gold mine that's rather safe over here, something that GiveUAnxiety will see, and so far it seems like GUA is just playing very, very defensive. Doesn't really want to make any unnecessary moves.
And that is a mistake because you scouted the map and you know that the map is open for your opponent, which means it's really hard for him to keep up with your army movement if you have knights, and you have the advantage of knights. So in this certain scenario that we are watching right here, GiveUAnxiety should be all over the place with knights. Like, and he's really good at doing that. He's really good at splitting down his army into many groups and just keep on raiding in many points. And he could actually bleed down Don Artie right now because all of Don Artie's villagers are spread around the map.
Indeed, there are some on the left side on the berries. The gold miners are very exposed. Guildhall on the way for Donardi as he's switching into a full spearman army. What is GUA's response to that? He'll probably just add men-at-arms. He already has 2 barracks up.
Imagine if those knights were 300 HP. They wouldn't care about pikes as well.
Here come the Royal Knights out here. A lot of villagers have to be pulled back to the town centers, so now GUA can start raiding. Wars are coming up on the left side by Donardi. His best bet is to stall this game out and play a very long game, because he needs some time to recover.
And the walls, like with just 2 walls, he could have blocked all the right side, GiveUAnxiety. But instead, there are 8 knights going inside of his base right now, and they could actually do so much damage. There are 37 villagers at the bottom side of the map, and 8 knights are closing in.
This could be a throw from GiveUAnxiety, honestly. If those knights find 10-15 kills here, which they have the ability to do so, this could be a disaster for GiveUAnxiety. And as you said, it would have been avoidable. He's bringing in the monk, though I think that that's going to be a conversion attempt. Pops the Vololo attempt, and that should be a big failure.
And the quick walls at the bottom. He's really lucky that those builds weren't spotted.
Yeah, he's very, very lucky out here. Still, his gold miners are wide open, and now those are Castle Age veteran Royal Knights, so he has to be careful not to lose the villagers, although the knights do run into the spearman, and what seemed to be a great scenario for Donardi is slowly turning into a disaster, as he's gonna get completely surrounded and slaughtered here.
Actually, yeah, he's choosing to retreat from the wrong place.
Yeah, he tried to run to the left, but that's locked in. He's lucky that he can save 5 knights over there, because it almost seemed like he's going to lose everything. In the end, it's 65 villagers for GiveUAnxiety, 57 for Donardi. And you already have a monastery out for GUA, so he's picking up relics, and he's going to move towards the sacred site quite rapidly. Moving in with the knights on the left side is GiveUAnxiety. A villager could be intercepted here on the walls, but I think the jackpot for Donati would have been the Berry villagers that just finished on the left side.
GiveUAnxiety is ahead by 8 villagers as well.
Exactly. Quite a lot. And I do believe that we're going to see a forward position being established here for him soon. He actually finds the Walling villager on the left side, so poor lady gets slaughtered by the knights. But the big deal is going to be the sacred site in the middle that I think a monk might already be coming out towards.
It feels like GiveUAnxiety could just A moves his army on top of Don Artie's army and win.
And you see, he's coming in from two directions. 3 knights coming in to charge the food line. Spearman will be pulled to the right, and the moment you pull them to the right, the knights can swoop in from the left. Very nice two-directional attack over here. You see, Don Artie is pursuing, but he didn't even see the knights coming in until the last moment. There is a monk out there, but there is no relic for a conversion, and these knights will now have a smorgasbord of slaughter here.
Yep, and at the same time, GiveUAnxiety keeps on getting the relics.
Oh, the spearmen got separated from the archers now, so the archers are getting cleaned up by all those knights. Everywhere I look, there are better fights for GiveUAnxiety, and as you said, behind this one, he has a villager advantage, he has the map control advantage, he's picking up the relics. It's just a downward spiral from now on here for Don Artie in a game that could lose them the entire set if Don Artie loses. GUA going for the houses once again. It's not gonna be as fast as with the Rams, but I like the idea that you just want to make your opponent housed, as GUA already has picked up, I think, 2 relics, and the third one is coming in. He's got the guild hole, and he hasn't even touched that. So there is 1100 food resting in that guild hole as well. He could pop any moment.
Yep, and the longer you leave it, the more you get.
Exactly, and at this point, why would you even pop it out? You already have the advantage. Just make sure that you keep it as long as possible, so in case things turn around, you can utilize that extra food as an emergency. Minotaur is being mixed in here by Don Artie, but seems like it's a little too late. GiveUAnxiety is sitting on 2400 gold with a 900 gold per minute income. For reference, Don Artie has 0 gold income because he was off from gold for such a long time.
On the other hand, GiveUAnxiety doesn't have a food. He's just doing his food transition.
He might actually consider popping the guild hole then. That's gonna give him 1500 food, which is enough until he gets the farms up. Knights swooping in from the right side once again. GiveUAnxiety's got a lot of mobility to his army, and you see he's coming in from the left and the right at the same time. Just trying to get 1 or 2 more villager kills, slowly grind down the economy of Don Artie. Sees the spearman on the left, so he's gonna move in on the right side. Sacred side being captured though, so around 23:30 the countdown will begin for the sacred side victory. GiveUAnxiety with quite a lot of idols, by the way, as we see a mangonel coming in. Interesting choice. At this point, I feel like GiveUAnxiety just needs to start mining stone and dropping keeps in the middle, and he's gonna win the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Although he could also put pressure at the same time.
It's always a possibility.
He knows that the gold mines are are not that many for Don Artie. So
Underwhelming fights over here, one after another for GiveUAnxiety. Just lost a couple of knights inside Don Artie's base and now ran into a horde of spearmen with his knights. Was pretty much slaughtered out there, so he now has to be careful with his army numbers because those have been decimated pretty badly. He still has 3 relics under his control and the 4th one is being brought in, so he still has a pretty massive lead, but fights like that are not something that he can afford to let happen. Looking at the food economy, that's better for Don Artie, everything else better for GiveUAnxiety right now. As GOA is finally getting some walls up, he's going crazy with those walls. What even is that?
I mean, there's 2 choke points that you don't have to do all these walls. I don't know if you realize it.
There's literally 2 choke points that's like 5 tiles of wall, and he's adding double layers of crazy walls over here. It feels like he just dragged the mouse across the screen in 1.5 seconds, and he's like, okay, that's good enough.
Yes, exactly. I think sometimes the APM, like going into many places at the same time, can hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, there would have been much better walls than that, let's just say that. Well, the good thing is that his opponent is most definitely not expecting walls there. Sacred Site being neutralized, so that Sacred Site victory condition will be broken here from GUA. And I kind of feel like despite the fact that GUA has a allegedly massive lead with the economy advantage with the relics, we're not really seeing that materialize. He seems to be playing very passive here.
I think he knows how important this game is, and he wants to make sure that he's going to win it.
True, I can relate to that. There is going to be quite a lot of knights now on the field, so some arbaletier could be an idea. He is getting some siege weapons out, and GiveUAnxiety is piling up a lot of resources, still hasn't touched the food in the guild hall. Oh, now he popped it, he wants to go Imperial. I was just about to ask you, do you pop it now, go into Imperial and go hand cannons? And I got my answer, College of Artillery coming in for GiveUAnxiety.
And I think that's why he's walling. He knows that he's going to invest so many resources into Imperial, and he feels that he needs those walls.
And he's right. He's absolutely right about that one. He needs those walls. Donati very far from Imperial, and even if it's not hand cannoneers, just veteran Royal Knights with all the upgrades from the university, that should be enough to win the battle, but I would love to see some hand cannoneers because that would be an insane firepower against everything.
Walls didn't do that much. The villagers died. On the right side.
Yep. Villagers just got slaughtered. Knights will exchange some shots against each other over here, as we do have GiveUanxiety that is slowly moving up. Let's talk about upgrades here. Looks like Elite Knight is not coming in. GiveUanxiety is disturbingly low on gold. He hasn't switched his guild hall to gold either, so he can't afford the elite upgrades just now, so that Imperial Age advantage is being wasted a tiny bit over here.
Yep. I would have preferred if he went for a slight pressure in order to make the red keep next to the sacred site. That could be game change.
Now notice that the gold is basically out inside GiveUAnxiety's base, so he's gonna have to move towards this big gold mine. And in theory, Donati would have a chance to just play gold control game and starve his opponent out of gold, so that Imperial Age advantage can't kick in.
I think he rushed Imperial. I don't think he needed to go Imperial. I think that it was a mistake.
I think the bigger mistake is that guild hall is still not on gold. On a map where you have most of the gold in the middle, and your current only safe source of gold is relics, since your only gold mine is exposed, I feel like that guild hall needs to be on gold now. Knights from Donati, though, getting absolutely started, and GiveUAnxiety tried to trap those knights in there with the villagers, but that's not going to work out. Donati does have the middle, by the way, so around 37 minutes, GiveUAnxiety is going to have problems from this one. And Donati himself, pretty decent economy, 71 villagers right now, pulled the food out of that guild hall, and Donati himself is going into Imperial, and he's going up with the Red Palace. The Red Palace is the single best defensive keep-like landmark, extremely powerful with those arbaletier emplacements, and I'm starting to feel like we're starting to see a throw here from GiveUAnxiety.
It's gonna be really hard for GiveUAnxiety. Like, GiveUAnxiety should be at the position of Don Artie right now. He should be on top of that sacred site with the Red Palace on top of it.
And just look at that Red Palace. It is possessing a much higher firepower than any other keep-like structure, the White Tower or the Berkshire Palace. Look at that, they basically one-shot Royal Knights. Insane firepower. They also have 10 range, so they outrange a lot of siege weapons even. So if you don't have the range upgrade on your Springolds, they will be able to take down your Springolds. And they also have the same range as standard cannon. That's the biggest thing. Cannon have 10 range, so does the Red Palace. So this is a very, very good landmark to defend the middle with. And now GiveUAnxiety was on a timer because, unlike his opponent, he doesn't have a save gold.
The counter landmark for that palace, though, is the College of Artillery, because you get better cannons. But it's gonna be hard.
It's going to be
It's
hard.
gonna be tough.
It's around 37 minutes. We don't have a countdown exactly in the game. We just know that it's 1 out of 1 sacred sites. And there's a second keep coming in. Nearby production buildings also get a unit discount here for Donati, and I feel like now he's the one that should start adding hand cannoneers. Those are expensive, but all you need is firepower here. He won't have the access to Royal Culverins though, whereas his opponent will. So if he adds siege, like, for example, Springolds, that can be snapped down easily by GiveUAnxiety. GUA is probably pushing up a castle on top of that hill. So, I think the big problem here for GiveUAnxiety is that he was massively ahead compared to his opponent, and now that lead has completely disappeared. In fact, I dare to say that it might actually be Artie who is leading.
Actually, I might agree with you. Position-wise, I prefer Don Artie's position. Now, on the other hand, Anxiety has the better eco.
Yep, that's true. He's got 4 relics working for him, he's got a lot of farming eco going. A lot of elite knights though, and the thing is that now GiveUAnxiety will have to make a decision. He sends all his spearmen back to clean up all those knights, or he pushes the middle. If he pushes the middle, he will lose his entire eco. Looks like Artie will actually change the angle of attack, and he just wants to jump on those gold miners. Artie probably knows that GiveUAnxiety needs gold here, and GiveUAnxiety needs it desperately.
Well, the key is 5 cannons. He needs 5 cannons, mass spears, and that's about it. Oh, he's making... yeah, he is making some normal cannons and some royal cannons, but 2 is not enough. 2 is definitely not enough.
You want to pull basically all the villagers you have here to defend the Red Palace, because the other keep is not so powerful, but the Red Palace is an absolute thing of beauty. But it looks like the villagers are garrisoned and not repairing. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. Red Palace already in flames, and you don't want to lose that building out there. Meanwhile, though, the knights come in from behind, and all the villagers here could be slaughtered. Red Palace does go down here, but so are the villagers of GiveUAnxiety. Spearman just now charging in, but no elite upgrade on them. Those are elite royal knights, and suddenly the siege of GiveUAnxiety could be isolated. Red Palace is back up, but once again going down to the cannon fire. That's still a massive amount of royal knights. And behind this one, the sacred site countdown is still going on. Around 5 minutes remaining.
And the thing with Don Artie, he doesn't have the eco anymore. He's really low on eco. He has only 12 villagers on gold, 31 idle villagers. Both of his castles in the front died. And his army is crossbows and knights against seeds and pikes.
Yeah,
And suddenly, it looks like GiveUAnxiety is doing it.
Yeah, it looks like GiveUAnxiety is doing it. There's just nothing against spears. The crossbows won't really crack it. And many of those knights are heavily battered now. Reboldequin, now it's elite spearman as well. And Don Artie's army is just disappearing from the battlefield. He narrowly lost the game in the previous set on this map, and it looks like he's getting close to there, trying to desperately repair that Red Palace so he can get his firepower back up. But the sacred site is already being neutralized, and if that sacred site goes down, I think he loses the game.
That Reboldequin, oh my god, that DPS, man. That DPS.
That is a devastating unit. It doesn't look scary, but boy oh boy, Reboldequin can just slaughter units. Now there's boiling oil on the Red Palace, and a lot of arrow fire, but you see, GiveUAnxiety knows exactly he needs to pull everybody, force one decisive fight. Don Artie is down to 76 population, and after what seemed like almost a throw from GiveUAnxiety, he makes one big push and finishes the game, but he definitely made it more difficult for him than it should have been.
Don Artie made too many knights and crossbows. If he went for less knights, and if you went for less knights, he probably would have done it.
I totally agree. Like, GiveUAnxiety has been massing spearmen the whole day, yet all we could see from Don Artie was the knights, and most importantly the crossbows, which made little sense here, since, yeah, he was up against knights as well, but he had way more knights, he saw that. So, he didn't really have a good answer to the spearmen, no hand cannoneers, no archers from him, and the Red Palace also went down rather easily, first garrisoned the villagers instead of repairing, so he lost a lot of firepower there. If that red palace stays up for a little longer, that could have killed so many units on the battlefield, swinging that battle in his favor. So the unit composition in the end was better by GiveUAnxiety. Of course, the relics helping a lot as well. In the end, GUA actually gathers more gold, despite the fact that he didn't really have a lot of gold to work with, just basically no map control. So the fact that Donati was lowering gold tells you a lot about the relic gold income for GiveUAnxiety, and in general just how aggressive he was moving out towards that big gold mine out there. And with this, GiveUAnxiety wins their own set, and the Americas, Capoch and GiveUAnxiety, win the whole tournament. Congratulations to them. What a day it was. Very